Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. OpTic have now lost their last 15 maps in a row in all competitions against teams not known as the Vegas Falcons, but Pred says trust the process and they will turn this whole situation around. But are the OpTic fans really that confident the team will actually do so after lots of the talk over the last couple of weeks? And it doesn't seem like Kenny is especially happy about being on a podcast again after another disastrous weekend. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. Plenty going in elsewhere last night. Starting here with iLLeY, Bell Fiber. It finally arrived and turned up for him. As I said, obviously he's just outside of Toronto. I think he's from Brampton. And he's obviously been grinding challenges lately. When OpTic lost that series against, maybe it was against the Ravens, whatever it was, iLLeY tweeted out, yo, was like, yo, pick me up. But is it going to happen? I think right now it seems a little bit doubtful. The playoffs, it's not too bad. They've played pretty well. They ended the playoffs 4-1. They played a lot of teams. They beat a lot of teams last night. But people, of course, only look at certain scoreboards, and it's not like iLLeY, apart from the search and destroy, has been especially cooking. Like, I don't really think iLLeY's done anything, in my opinion, to see here in challenges that he's like, wow, undeniable, right? Neptune was pretty undeniable. Luna's was pretty damn close to undeniable from an AR perspective in terms of the numbers that he was dropping. Whether that works in the league, who knows? But in challenges, you've got to win and you've got to have good numbers, basically, because we know as well that let's say the coaches, do they really watch all the matches in challenges, or do they have a look at the stats for the challengers games and say, all right, this guy's the best? Now, of course, iLLeY have got the name value as well, but based on what's happened recently, I'm not sure that I'm convinced that iLLeY's going to be waltzing back into the league, but intrigued to your thoughts in the comments. There was as well some pretty remarkable numbers over in Europe. So Team Notorious, that is Afro's team. So Afro, Eric, Boom, F. Dot and Rafi, who actually was playing this series, pretty funny. They were slamming these other guys on the other side. Afro was pretty close, we think, to getting the spot on Surge. Well, at least it was a conversation that was had. Whether it was ever really a serious consideration, but at least Afro was thrown around as a potential option there. But, you've got visas to figure out. It's tough. But it seems like Afro's been cooking. Definitely a name up at the top of the list. But, map 1 was 250 to 5. They got 3 under control. They won 2 rounds of the Surge. Afro has a 2.2. Your boy has a 0.42 with 19 kills in 3 maps, which has got to be some of the lowest that I've ever seen. It probably has to be the lowest that I've ever seen. This actually was the map 1. So, your boy went 3-22, unfortunately for him. So, yeah, this is just one of those maps that sometimes happens in challenges. This, though, was iLLeY's team getting 3-0'd by Team War. So that's 2 Real, Assault, Diamondcon, and YoYoYoda. They 3-0'd Omid, so Brack, iLLeY, Johnny, and Standy. And yeah, pretty rough series here for iLLeY, to say the very least. That's why people in his replies, look, they won the other series they played, but this guy was like 0.6 on Bell Fiber. Like, come on, right? So, not iLLeY's greatest series, and they lost the search 6-1. iLLeY had 37 kills for a 0.6 overall, lowest damage in the lobby. So, look, it is one series, but it's one series against a competitive team, and it didn't exactly go to plan. And people were clowning him, right? And they were saying, like, iLLeY's tweeting, iLLeY's tweeting all this about, like, oh, get me back at OpTic and this type of stuff for Kenny. And it's like, okay, is that really a good idea right now? I'm not seeing much evidence of that being the case. Still kind of early days a little bit, because there's not even been a Challengers LAN yet. The first one is going to be in Dallas alongside Major 2. That's the one that really matters. And if iLLeY delivers there on LAN, puts on a stellar show, wins the events, MVP of Challengers, who knows? That, of course, is a compelling case, especially if OpTic don't have a great weekend. Now, we talked about FeLo yesterday, whether he'd signed a deal or not. We said that lots of people understandably were like, is he just joking around? Is he baiting? Is it just for impressions? And, well, it was kind of difficult to say, because we saw the rumours about potentially Hook to Los Angeles Guerrillas, the Gentlemates team. We've talked about that being an option for FeLo. Maybe other teams as well, like Boston, might be considering something. But I think after last year, Boston will be quite reluctant, I think, to make some changes. Maybe they believe anyway in their team has potential. I think Boston after Major 2, though, it is a serious question if they are still in the positions of not making the World Championship. Let's say they're currently 9th in the league on 70 points. OpTic are 1 up from them on 85, which either way, it's still not great. But we did wonder where FeLo is going, where he could go, if anywhere, but maybe he's not going anywhere at all. Now, the rosters are locked in challenges unless someone gets picked up to the league. I'm pretty sure that's the rule anyway. Like, the rosters, you can't change your roster unless somebody gets picked up. Now, Encourage got signs to the team, but he said he was a content and competitive player. So does that mean for Encourage content first, as in we'll pick you up when one of our guys gets signs, which may be the correct answer. But FeLo was still spotted yesterday playing with Dylan, Rex, Craze and Capsidal, so it doesn't look like that's changing for now. Maybe it will over time. As I say, some of these teamers will probably wait until after Major 2 until we really get our answers. But let's talk about the OpTic podcast that drops last night again. So they did another one, right? Another game chat show. And look, I understand it. They're bagging out the content, and I appreciate it, obviously, because it gives us lots to talk about. And the fans want to know what's going on behind the scenes, how the team is adapting and making progress and trying to improve, because right now in the CDL standings, it's not exactly looking great. But I wanted to share a couple of minutes here, really, of this OpTic podcast where they talk about a few things. Initially saying, look, we ain't looking the best right now, but if we trust the process, we'll get out of this predicament and we're moving in the right direction. Well, they didn't even say that. They were like effectively implying that they will. But the key thing I want you guys to pay attention to here in these couple of minutes is just have a look at Kenny, right? Because the other guys, they're kind of vibing. I will say the vibe like that I got watching this podcast was understandably not the same as it was, let's say, 6 months ago, right? Like, back then, the end of last season, certainly after last season, the start of this year, the vibes, the energy, the excitement was, I mean, it's a completely different like atmosphere in this podcast today than it would have been several months ago. And maybe it's obviously changed slowly over time, but to a point where if you watch Kenny, most of the time it doesn't really look like he wants to be there. And if I was Kenny, I think I would be in exactly the same position. But it's certainly a talking point for the OpTic fans.
You know, winnable series, but I mean, obviously they, they clutched up. Yeah, it was a short reminder for us, for sure. But listen, we're back on the grind, man.
You gotta trust the process, man. Grinding, that's all we can do, man. I just want to actually shout out the Falcons, though. Like, I know, actually...
What series we win? Shout out to the Falcons.
Nah, I just feel like everyone always be giving them shit and everything, but...
Who's, who are we fighting for, like, in the losers?
30, I don't think...
Who's, like, the next team, like, under us? If that makes sense.
Yeah, who's the
like
nice
us,
seed?
Falcons... Is it Miami? Us, Falcons, Miami, LAG.
Oh, and then the current one. Shit.
So yeah, the us and Miami one is like really important, low key. And then obviously we win the next three.
Gotta win them all.
Yeah. Literally.
Gotta get Donkey Kong hard.
Yeah, we play Miami, Toronto, LA Thieves, and Gorillas. That's a good split.
Fuck.
They're really good matches going into like the tournament for sure.
Yep.
Bangers.
They're a better time to get some good reps.
But yeah, man, just screaming every single day. Yesterday or on Monday we take a day off, obviously, but yeah, kind of just screaming every single day, trusting the process. Takeaways from the match. I mean, just gotta keep fucking grinding. Simple as that.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like we say every podcast. Fucking Jesus.
We ever go back and grind?
Back in the lab.
Man, ain't nothing else to say, man. You can't go really into depth everything we talk about, so
a few things to say on this situation, really. The idea of, okay, trust the process, we're going to get out of the hole, and we're going to make a comeback, right? And they're talking about the league standings. They're saying, oh, we're 8th right now, that's not where we want to be. It's like, yeah, but like, it should be an embarrassment, no? Like, you just won the World Championship, you're 8th in the standings. I don't know, I want to see more urgency. I've wanted this for weeks, frankly. After they got 3-0'd by a rocker, I think that was the series that it's like, yeah, this is a serious, we've got serious issues right now. We need to resolve them. And it felt like after that point, they were confident they would turn things around. Then they got 3-0'd by Ravens. I thought that might be the big wake-up call to say, okay, we've got to change something. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they've got to drop someone, drop Kenny, change a player. It could be a role change. It could be, trying to bring somebody else in from a coaching side on like a consultancy basis, kind of like what they did with Accuracy before last year's World Championship. It just felt like something had to change in the camp, certainly after the Ravens 3-0. Did anything really change? The next weekend happens, they play Falcons, they beat them, congratulations. Pred's even gassing them up, which I thought was pretty funny, right? Because Pred's almost saying, thanks to the Falcons, those guys are great. Almost like wanted to give... I don't know, they want to give themselves a bit more credit for beating them. That's kind of how I read it. And also, Pred likes those guys, so fair enough. But equally, if you're saying, Falcons, like, they're good kids, they've got good gun skill, good talent, and this type of stuff, on some level, OpTic are trying to say, well, it's an impressive result beating Falcons, when clearly it isn't. I mean, as I say at the start of the video, in the last 15 maps they've played, this includes the 3 maps they lost to Ravens to go out of the major. So you might think it's cheese, but it's still true. Like, they went up 1-0 on Ravens at the major, they then lost the next 3. Since then, they're 0-12. 3-0 by FaZe, 3-0 by Rocker, 3-0 by Ravens, 3-0 by Toronto, right? So that's 15 maps in a row that they've lost, excluding the Falcons series, and even then they lost a map and they could have lost 2. So, yeah, it wasn't great. I think OpTic fans would just like to see a bit of passion, a bit of energy, a bit of invigoration, right? A bit of like, okay, we're trying this, we're trying that, we're trying some new ideas in scrims, we're working hard, like we're putting in the extra time, we're watching VODs. Say something, right? Like, I don't know. It just feels like the energy and the ambition and the urgency, given the current situation, isn't really there. And I'm not sure that there's many OpTic fans out there hearing, trust the process, guys. Like, is the process working? Because surely the process has been ongoing for the last few weeks and it's not yielded any results as yet. Maybe it's going to turn around, but it doesn't seem like Kenny is especially confident. I don't know. Like, Kenny's sitting there, not having a great time. And fair enough, I don't think I would be either, sitting down for another podcast every few days to talk about why the team sucks again. I get it, right? But also, from Kenny's side, like, I'd like to see a little bit more energy, a little bit more vigor, a little bit like, I'm going to start grinding 8s. I'm going to play some more search and destroy chals. Like, there's things you can do. And even if it doesn't massively help you, like, I think it would be, from a visual perspective, from, let's just say, a PR perspective, it would please some of the fans, I think, to see it at least look like the guys are putting in the extra time. And the other thing I wanted to say is, of course, as Shotzzy says, they took Monday off scrims. And, that is what all teams do, right? So this isn't an unusual thing. Monday is the day off, right? So the teams play all week. They play Thursday or Tuesday. So I just got my day of the week wrong. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There you go. You can actually count the days in order. They play those days. Of course, on some of the days, they're scrimming or they're playing a matchup or they're warming up or whatever. Other teams, let's say, if they don't play a game on the weekends. And Monday is the day off. But it's not necessarily the day off for everyone, not as far as I'm aware. Like in the Pro League, sure, the teams tend to take Mondays off. But, okay, what else could they do Monday, right? I think this is, if Shotzi's going to say, we took Monday off because everyone does, fair enough. Okay, are there any challenger teams playing that day? Are there any scrims to be had still? Possibly. Are there any chals to be played, tournaments to be played, VOD to be reviewed, things to go over? And maybe that's what they did Monday. Maybe they all turned up to the facility and they watched a load of, let's say the VOD back of when Ravens beat them and what they might need to change and look at specific modes. Maybe they did that. I don't know. But obviously we're not going to get the insight on that and we're not owed it exactly. But I think fans would like to see OpTic say, this is what we've been doing. This is how we're putting in the extra time. Because, look, it was a big talking point at the start of January that FaZe was struggling. They were losing to challenger teams in scrims, sometimes pretty handily. What did FaZe do in that period over Christmas, New Year? They put in more time than anyone. Cellium has said it multiple times in interviews post-games, that they were grinding harder than any other team. They knew that their roster was capable of achieving great things, as it has done in the past and may well continue to do. The OpTic team, I mean, who knows? FaZe were putting in 3 sets of scrims. They were doing more work than anybody else. Is that the case right now for this OpTic iteration? I mean, you look at Kenny's attitude, his mindset, it doesn't seem like Kenny's a particularly happy man in the team right now. I don't think the vibes look great, and frankly, neither should they. And just to close out the video here, this is Shotzzy's Stage 2 card. Of course, he made the comments back in January about the other teams not knowing how to play, and his hardpoint actually has still been alright. That's the only thing propping up his numbers here to a 69 overall. His search and destroy, worst KD on his role in the league, and I mean, look at that, like 64 rated first bloods, 52 rated damage per round, and in control it's, you know, arguably even worse. I guess it's a 71 rated card with then the -2 adjustment, but yeah, not a pretty sight for a superstar level player. But very much interested to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.